those Teach Yourself book, you will find this passage on the cover of learning various subjects. There are many gems from the book of Proverbs that we can find. We started this series last year, and we have already touched on 66. We have already touched on 6 lessons from the book of Proverbs, and we have 4 more to go before this series comes to a close. Tonight, my lesson is on making a living. I guess everybody needs money in order for us to make a living. King Solomon was very successful in all that he does, and he has brought Israel to its highest peak because of his wisdom. The crowning glory of King Solomon is the temple that he built to honor God. There has not been a building in Israel that can compare to the temple that Solomon built for God. This is why when the people of Israel were taken into captivity and later find their way back to Nehemiah and started to build the temple, the people wept because it was a poor replica of what it was in the glory days when Solomon built the temple. Here in the book of Proverbs, we find good advice on how to make a living. If you want to make the most out of your life in this earth, read the book of Proverbs. And again, in tonight's lesson, as in previous lesson, we will look at 7 passages from the book of Proverbs. I want to start off with Proverbs 10:4. Solomon says, he becomes poor who walks with a lazy hand, but the hand of the diligent bring wealth. Make no mistake about it. The only way to make a living and to be successful is to be diligent in whatever you put your hands to do. Today, some people think you don't have to work hard. You just work smart. But trying to be smart without working hard, you will not succeed, because without diligence, only a fool would think that he can succeed and that success will fall on his laps. We admire people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. All of this did not inherit their wealth from their families, but they worked hard, and they worked long and diligently in order to succeed. Solomon emphasized that diligence as the key to financial success. If you want to be poor, just be lazy. There is no way that you can accumulate wealth by being lazy. If we work hard, like C.K. Tang, who came from China with one suitcase and built such a wonderful success out of the diligence that he gave to his work. And so, whatever you do, no matter how humble it may be, Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 10 says, whatever your hand find to do, do it with all your might, for in the realm of the dead, where you are going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. This is the same thing that the Apostle Paul tells Christians in the New Testament, that we work hard, not as men pleasers, but because we are servants of God. Secondly, in order to make a good living, we need to exercise good judgment. And good judgment comes from learning from our mistakes. Proverbs 13:23, and the abundance of food is in poor people's field, but there is that is destroyed for want of judgment. There is plenty for everybody, but if we don't exercise good judgment, whatever we have will soon be gone. As the saying goes, a fool and his money will soon be parted. In Luke chapter 15, verse 13, we read about the son of a rich man who asked for his inheritance even before it is due. And the Bible tells us that not many days after, the younger son gathered all of this together, went to a far country, wasted the property, and spent it all. And when the famine came, he began to be in need. This is a typical example of the fool and his money. They are soon parted. So we need to exercise good judgment. And this comes from experience. And usually experiencing bad judgment. Learn from it so that we will not repeat the mistakes. Another thing Solomon talks about in making a living is that we learn to save. Proverbs 21:20, there is precious treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man swallows it up. I've often wondered how a person can spend up to their last cent. If you have income, you should put some of it aside. And when you start digging into your savings, then it is time for you to try to get help because the situation is quite critical. I believe in many homes in Singapore, we have too many things and probably unnecessary things, and especially when we have children. Sometimes it's not our fault because our friends and relatives shower our kids with too many things. But if we can rent, if we can borrow, we will not be spending so much, and we will have more laid aside for emergency. Now, on the web, you can purchase all kinds of stuff online. And some of them allow you to have 4 payments. And some of you may have seen the advertisement, a tortoise moving slowly. And we thought that we have all the time in the world to pay whatever we want. And yet, pay we must. And the time will come when the debt collectors start knocking at our door. Do not purchase anything that you cannot afford. And so many things we buy is unnecessary. We can borrow or do without. Start saving. Start young. And don't stop saving, because whatever you lay aside will come in good state when you need it. 4th passage from Proverbs chapter 11, verse 24. Solomon says, there is one who scatters and increases yet more. And there is one who withholds more than is appropriate, but gains poverty. Here Solomon is trying to describe a stingy person that never prosper. It is interesting to note that the Bible tells us how to increase our wealth. In Luke chapter 6, verse 38, Jesus says, give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be given to you. For with the same measure you measure, it will be measured back to you. Business schools do not teach this. Business school teach you how to earn, how to keep it for yourself, how to invest it, and how to amass as much as you can. But Solomon and Jesus tells us that if you want to make a living, share what you have. Because if you are stingy and protect your assets, you will lose it. But when you share it, you will prosper. Ecclesiastes put it in this way, chapter 11, verse 1 and 2. Cast your bread on many waters, for you shall find it after many days. Give a portion to 7, yes, even to 8, for you do know what evil will be on the earth. The Bible constantly encourages us to be generous with what we have. And I think we can see this among our friends, because God blesses the one who is generous. Let me suggest that we have 2 hands. The first hand is to help yourself stand on your feet, and the other hand is to help others. When you have opportunity to share, to be generous, even the guy who comes to your table at the hawker center trying to get you to buy a packet of tissue, take that as an opportunity and bless someone, because it will come back and bless you and help you make a living. Number 5, Proverbs 14:15. Solomon says, a simple man believes everything, but the prudent man carefully considers his way. There are some people who will believe anything on the internet, or when they sit and watch the TV, any advertisement, any medicine, any cure, they will believe. A simple man believes everything. The meaning of the word prudent is to act and to show and to think for the future. And in doing so, you will consider carefully before you reach for the wallet and to spend. There are so many scams and get-rich schemes, and many people are going after cryptocurrency, Bitcoins, and they have lost a lot of money. Even Temasek has lost $275 million just by trying to catch on the wave. We need to be prudent. Think carefully, especially when we shop online, and try to avoid impulse purchase. So, in prosperity, be prudent. And when time of adversity comes, be patient. 6th passage, Proverbs 21:17. He who loves pleasure shall be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil shall not be rich. There are so many wonderful things in this world. In Singapore, we enjoy eating, and there are so many good things around us. We need to restrain ourselves and make sure that our appetite is under control. Do we spend more than we earn? Solomon says we cannot prosper. We complain about the high cost of living, but usually it is not the high cost of living that do us in, but the trouble is the cost of our high living, and we go after all kinds of stuff that we can ill afford. The average credit card debt per capita in Singapore is almost $2,000. And it looks like the trend is going up. Spend first, pay later. Pay by installments. Pay by 4 different installments. We need to stop spending money that we don't have and restrain our appetite. And finally, our 7th passage, Proverbs 3:9. Honor the Lord with your substance, with the first fruits of your increase. There are so many ways that we can honor God. By being here tonight, we honor God. We honor God by good works, and we honor God with our prayer for one another. But for many people, when something happens in our life, and when our business is not going on well, or possibly when we are retrenched, the first thing that we cut down is usually our contribution to God. But the Jews are very serious about their first fruits to God. And whatever they do, God and their obligations to God cannot be touched. And so when you trust God, and when you honor God with your first fruits, then God will continue to watch over you and bless you and guide you. I read about this wonderful testimony of John Wesley. When his income was 30 pounds, his living expenses was 28 pounds, and so he gave 2 pounds as contribution to God. Later, his income doubled, but he still lived on 28 pounds, and he gave the rest to God. On the 3rd year, his income increased, but his expenditure remains the same, and he was giving away much more. And on the 4th year, he made 120 pounds. Again, he lived on 28 pounds and gave 92 pounds to God and the poor. Psalms 27 says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. And so tonight, as we bring this lesson to a conclusion, let's ponder on these 7 passages from the book of Proverbs on making a living. Top on our list is be diligent. If you want success, work hard. There is no shortcut to it. Success is more of perspiration than inspiration. Exercise good judgment, save as you earn, be generous, so that God can continue to bless you. Be prudent. Restrain your appetite and keep on honoring God. Because unless the Lord builds the house, we labor in vain